First of all, it raises the debt ceiling, which was the point of the whole thing, and in the history of the country, mostly that's all these agreements did was raise the debt ceiling. But this time we did two other things. Second, we reduced the deficit, a crucial part of the deal and by far the most complicated. And then third, we agreed to have a vote in both the House and the Senate on a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. So that vote will take place in the fall. So the first part of the second part of the deal is the first part of the deal is raising the debt ceiling, and that's done about approximately $900 billion first, and then there will be a subsequent step which will be between 1.2 and 1.5 billion. The point is that whatever it turns out to be precisely, it will get us through the 2012 election, which was one of the main goals of the administration all along. So the president got at least that part of his goals. Then the second and by far the most complicated part is reducing the deficit. And that also comes in two stages. The first one is that there's an immediate agreement to approximately $900 billion over 10 years. There are lots of numbers floating around. You can look at different baselines, maybe Bill will talk about this, and you can look at budget authority or outlays. But the budget authority is $935 billion. But as I say, there are other baselines and so forth. So that's the first one, and it includes interest. This is a great, important point about the budget. The more we cut, the more we save beyond just the cuts in programs, because interest is getting to be such a huge part of our budget deficit. We're headed toward 10 years from now, perhaps, Bill knows a lot about this, we could be paying $1 trillion in just in interest costs. So interest is a very big part in the important part of the savings. And this is achieved by putting caps on discretionary spending. So this first step is out of discretionary spending, caps on discretionary spending, both defense and non-defense. There's a firewall between security and non-security, but that only lasts for 2 years, 2012 and 2013, so there could be lots of interesting things that happen after 2013 and how these cuts in appropriations are actually made. And then there's a part that everybody's talking about, and the reason we're here, and that is this new device that the leaders came up with, and that is the super committee, so-called, the Joint Select Committee. If it has the word joint, you know it must be really important. And that will result one way or another, if we actually live up to the agreement, between $1.2 and $1.5 trillion in additional cutting over 10 years. So the committee is 12 members, 6 Republicans, 6 Democrats, 6 House, 6 Senate, appointed by the leaders, the respective Republican and Democratic leaders in the House and Senate. A crucial point that Bill will talk about, they apparently can choose whatever baseline they want. That turns out to be a very important issue. They can make changes, any changes in spending or taxes. There was some dispute about that, but the text of the agreement makes it clear that they could raise taxes. They could cut whatever they want to, including Medicare, Medicaid. So they have more or less carte blanche to do whatever they want to do. And it's a majority vote that decides in the committee, not like the president's deficit panel. 7 out of 12 votes wins. So if you get a majority, you can pass whatever you want to. They have to report their decisions by November 23rd, and Congress must vote by December 23rd. They must vote without amendment, and it cannot be filibustered in the Senate. So these are about the best rules you could possibly have to pass something through the Congress of the United States. So in that respect, it looks like it could be, a good deal. Now, if they don't reach an agreement, or if the Congress votes it down, then there's an automatic, we use the fancy word sequestration, which is a holdover from the Graham-Rudman-Holland days back in the 1980s. And there, the additional cuts would be $1.2 trillion. Both discretionary and entitlement, there's some complex rules about what cannot be cut. For example, in Medicare, it can only be cut only the payments to providers. I guess they felt we had such a strong record of delivering whenever we decided to cut provider payments that we would do it again. And there's a 2% limit even in that part of Medicare cuts. So there are a bunch of low-income programs, SSI, and food stamps, Medicaid, other programs that are protected from the sequestration completely.